little bit more water. And the branches are absolutely last because of what you saw with the eye. Black just sort of sucks away all the color, and if you make a mistake with your leaves, you want to have the chance to fix that, or not really even mistake, because you can sort of change these, but maybe you want to change the shape. And I have to keep adding shadows in what I think are going to be the darker spaces. And this can be modified a little bit once I add the branches. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I want it, but for the most part, it's easier to change once before I'm adding the branches. So let me make sure that there's a drier spot to start. I'll have, as you remember from the beginning painting, the final product will have like sort of a long branch here, and then I'll have his legs kind of grabbing onto it, and I have a little baby leg reaching out that's probably starting from behind the bird. Couple branches here. They don't have to be exactly the same, but just having these branches in different positions that orient with your leaves is helpful. And we'll add a couple leaves on top of that too. So I forgot about this little bushel. I'll give them some detail. All right. So
hi all. I just want to break in here really quick. We had some tech difficulty, so you're just tuning in with Leana. This is Steph Colorusso from the Everhart Museum, and we're now completely live on the right channel. We had pre-recorded just the first section, so I just wanted everybody to be caught up. And yeah, now we should be live. So thank you for being patient.
Yeah, so we're live now towards the end. I've got just the branches we're going to do. You can use brown and you can use black, either one, or you can use both to sort of create more shadow. So I'm going to use sort of just a dark brown shade. It doesn't have to be any one in particular. And I'm going to do a long branch going down. And of course, this will take some time to keep adding pigment, keep arching down. It doesn't have to be any specific shape. It's just a twig. So you can move it down like this. And then I'm going to have one that he's sitting on where this blob kind of went. So I'll have just a long branch this way. And I'll add one here where these leaves are going to go. Maybe one that kind of goes back there. We're just putting these birds in the middle of a tree. Maybe and a lot of branches have these kinds of V points where twigs kind of come off from there. So I'm going to add some V's to the lone branches I've made and make sure all of the leaves sort of have somewhere it looks like they're starting from. I'll do the same thing up here. And we don't have to show a ton of them because I made this like sort of bushier. So maybe the branches disappear behind the leaves and kind of reemerge out here. And I'll add some V's to make it a little more natural. These are just twigs coming off. Your twigs can look a little bit different, but it's just the general idea that these are sort of the shapes and a nice way for it to look. And make sure you have some sort of space where you know you could put your bird's legs in, its little feet, because those will also be in black, so they'll be sort of last. If there's any part that your twigs are on top of some leaves and you can still see the leaves showing through, grab some more brown watercolor and use a little bit less water and more pigment and just go on top of the leaves. So I'm just going to go back over some of these parts because I don't want the leaves showing through. All right, and now I can make some of these parts darker. You can do this while it's still wet or while it's dry. It's up to you, but I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the brown and a little bit of black, not too much, and make some of the parts darker and show some shadow. So I'm adding a little bit of blue and black. You can mix it together separately, or you can mix it together on this. But as it bleeds together on the twigs and the sticks, it looks kind of nice. Then I'll add a little down here. Up here. Especially on this side, because I decided this is going to be like my darker side. And there. And I'll add a little bit here. Maybe I want to make it easier for my bird to stand on that branch. All right, so going back to the bird now, a lot of your bird should be dried. Some parts I'm gonna blend together and some parts I can add more detail on. So for instance, I'm gonna make his face have a little less detail, have it a little bit less distracting to the eye. This side, we needed to fix the eye, so I'm just gonna take the pigment and go around like that. Now his eye looks fine. Working with the wet on dry looks a little bit better there. And that's pretty much it for the birds part. You can add a couple more leaves now to sort of go around where you did the branches. So I'm just adding a lot of pigment and making it darker and sort of making it make sense for where I had these branches end up. Maybe a couple leaves up top, a couple on top of here because this twig didn't blend quite the way I wanted it to, and maybe you saw that on yours. Some down here. I'll add a little bit here. And the more leaves you add, it really makes a difference to how detailed it looks. It seems really tedious to keep adding the same shape, but it builds up after a while and the layers look nice all together. And the more you add, certain parts will look darker and certain parts will look lighter because you're not adding it all in the same spots. Like these are still lighter, and just some parts look darker. And the only thing really left to do is we're gonna do the legs for the bird. So make sure you've definitely got the smaller brush out for this part. I've just sort of done like a backwards L shape, and his little leg goes down like that. And then maybe you want to put sort of a little curvy line for his legs or for his claws. So one there, and then maybe I want one kind of behind this twig, and then one like there. Then I can do the same here. If at this point you realize like none of your branches are anywhere near where your bird could be sitting, that's okay. Just add a branch, just take out some brown paint and draw a line. You can add another little L shape. These ones are like the right face. They're not backwards L's. So just adding some talons there. And that's about your bird. So these are about how they can look. You could add some flowers too. That's what I had in my original painting. And they don't need to be complicated. They could just be little, basically the same shapes as the leaves. And you can add them where you have space. But the good thing is we've made it super green. So wherever you add these little shapes, they're just, you know, the same shape as your brush. And while they're wet, you can add a little bit of orange. I'm just using the same orange I even used on the bird, and adding it to the bottom and letting it blend up. We add a little more orange there. And help them out if you need it. I'm just adding plain water between these two and letting the blending happen for itself. And that should be your entire bird. If you want to add more flowers, you can. If you want to add more leaves, you can. But basically that's all you have to do to paint a nice little floral bird scene. I'm glad you guys could join us. I'm sorry there were some technical difficulties along the way, but I hope you learned something great. Thanks for joining us.